What's up, everybody? This is A Drink with Monty, the podcast. Tonight it is the Montys, the two of us, and we are going to let you guys get to know us and what we're about and what we're going to do here.
What's up, everyone? This is Molly Montague.
That's right. That is my beautiful wife, Molly Montague, and I am John Montague, the Monty.
The Monty?
The Monty.
Maybe I'm the Monty.
You're definitely not the Monty.
You're the other half of the Monty?
I am the Monty, and you're like a
Mrs. Monty.
You're like the second string.
Oh, I don't like that.
You're way better looking, so. So tonight we are just going to chat about what we're going to do, why we chose the name, and just kind of about each other. So, again, with me is my beautiful wife, Molly, and I'll let her talk about herself.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, I guess we should explain, what this podcast is about and why we chose the name, A Drink with Monty.
Yeah, I guess I skipped that part on the piece of paper that's in front of me.
We have bullet points, y'all. So we brainstormed briefly a little bit.
A solid hour's worth of brainstorming went on today.
That's a lot.
Being candid is way better. Although we do have notes, I just feel like the flow is going to be way better if we just do it.
I agree with that.
All right, talk.
All right, so A Drink with Monty. John and I, and those of you who know us, we like to sit down with folks. We like to have a drink. We like to pick their brains. We love to hear about people and their stories and what they're about. And we think the best way to do that is over a good beverage and just having a conversation, be it at a restaurant, at your house, around a campfire.
Right now we're in our glorious kitchen.
We're in our kitchen.
Getting really crazy.
But that's only because we can't take the recording gear outside one day. We'll do this around a campfire. We like to camp. We have a camper, so we do this. We will do this around a campfire, I'm sure.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, we'll do that. What are you drinking on, John?
Tonight, I am indulging in a delicious bush latte, brewed over the Swiss Alps.
Is it Swiss?
No, I think it's brewed in America.
In the USA, yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Keeping
drinking
it
White
straight
Claws.
America. Ooh.
I'm drinking White Claws.
If you drinking that claw, you above that law. What you know about that little girl?
I'm classy AF tonight. And I'm using my wedding koozie, my John and Molly wedding cruise, December 5th, 2015.
I'm sure a lot of the listeners were there and probably have the same koozie.
Yeah, that's probably true. Celebrating I do's on the Monty's wedding cruise. Our wedding was pretty epic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about the wedding, John.
Well, I got married. Shocker.
That took long enough, though.
Yeah, 9 years. Our wedding was awesome. It started out with Molly's grandmother not doing too well. She got pretty sick, actually. They messed up on her blood pressure medication, and she ended up going unresponsive right after the ceremony. And, I mean, if she was going to do it, she picked the right place to do it.
There were like 50 firemen, EMT, paramedic.
Yeah, yep. From Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, I mean, everywhere. And to say that the ship medical staff was not as aggressive as the paramedics that were there is pretty accurate. So that happened. We pretty much fixed her.
That was right after the ceremony.
Yeah, yep.
And then, so we had our ceremony in port in Tampa. That way all of our family could come, our grandparents who can't necessarily go on a cruise, they could all attend. And then after the wedding, whoever was cruising stayed on, and whoever was not got off the ship. And we took off on a 5-day cruise. So we had like a 5-day wedding reception. I think we had over 90 people cruising with us. So it was like we took over the ship. It was a pretty small ship because it was in December. We took over the ship.
Yes, we did. Some of us got to see other parts of the ship that others didn't, like the cruise jail. Yeah, some of us broke some microphones. And
Oh, who did that?
we don't need to name names.
Oh,
but
okay. Well, it was like a karaoke night, and
Yeah.
someone did a mic drop and like broke this $7,000 mic.
Yeah, they did not find it as funny as we did, but nonetheless, we found it funny, and that's all that matters.
Fun fact: I was actually 10 weeks pregnant at our wedding.
And for the record, we didn't get married because she was pregnant. We were engaged. I don't want to say way before, but we were engaged.
I mean, we had planned the wedding for a year, and then 2 weeks before the wedding, we found out I was pregnant
with child.
That was fun. That was an adjustment. But yeah, enough about that.
But no, it's not enough about that. I want to say this.
Okay.
So that, we are a very family-oriented couple, and we love sharing every part of our life with people, which is another reason why I think this podcast is going to be so cool. And the reason of this podcast is not to be all about the Montys,
This specific one is the first episode introducing us.
We're gonna make this a couple thing, so we're both gonna be doing it. And we'll dive into why we're gonna do this podcast, right? So we both love to just learn about people and learn about lifestyles and what people do, and like Molly said, just there's nothing better than just hanging out, and cutting loose and just really getting to know somebody. Because there's so many different people in the world, and
there's so many interesting stories out there. It's a disservice for, not to share those stories.
Yeah.
And some people have gone through crazy journeys in this life or experienced crazy things or make money in a way that no one else knows, that was even a thing. I'm probably one of those. No one really knows that. I work in the cheerleading music industry. We, the company started off that way. We create music for cheerleading teams to compete to.
Well, don't get too deep because we'll talk about what each other does.
Oh, I thought that's what we were doing.
Are we getting into that?
Sure.
Okay.
It's next on
the agenda.
The agenda.
Okay.
On the bullet
on our
point.
Mead notebook paper.
But yeah, the company I work for, we manage cheerleading music producers, and then the owner of the company, he's extremely talented in managing the music production process. So then he started making a music catalog, and it's like blown up from there. We've had, music placements on a bunch of different like television shows and stuff. And we also manage like 16 cheerleading music producers. So
I get asked that question all of the time. What does your wife do? And I feel like the worst husband because I'm like, well, I don't really know how to tell you. But what Molly's not telling you.
I push numbers.
Well,
I don't
you're
do
being
it.
really modest in saying and telling people what you do. So Molly pretty much helped her boss start this company back in like 2008.
No. It was like 2012. I was in college.
Okay. So my dates are a little off. But so Molly was a bartender before this job, and she did that all through high school, and that's where I swooped her off her feet, in high school, obviously, and then I really laid it on her at her bar, and that's when she just fell madly in love with me.
Yeah.
But Molly is pretty much number 2 in this company, and from an administrative standpoint, pretty much runs the show. So she's not giving herself a lot of credit when she just tells you what she does. She is very, very talented. She's very smart. She has an accounting degree, which she may or may not use.
I very much use it.
Okay, well, that's debatable.
I push the numbers in the company.
Yeah, maybe sometimes. You cut checks.
I don't do taxes. I cut checks.
So
I do a lot more. He clearly knows nothing about what I do.
Yeah, exactly. But no, she's very talented. She's very, very smart, and that's what pisses me off a lot is that I'm not that smart.
You're smart.
And she pulls things over on me all the time. So that's what Molly does.
You're smart. I'm just smarter than you.
I'll take that.
Tell us about you, John. What do you do for a living? And then we'll go into our personal lives.
Okay. I am a fireman for a relatively large department north of the metro Atlanta area. I've been a firefighter and a paramedic for almost 10 years. And before that, I was an education major in college. and failed out miserably.
Yeah. That was setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell them why you didn't do education. That's a funny story.
So I was actually doing very well in school, sort of. I would say I was.
Yeah.
The first semester, because we hadn't started playing sports. I was on an athletic scholarship, and I didn't have a choice. I had to do good. So I was doing really good in school, and we were actually in our student teaching, and I was assigned to a not-so-good school in a not-so-good area in Tennessee, and was walking into the school, very, very old school, and was actually with the principal and another person from my class, and a student from this said school leaned out a window and called me a not-so-nice word.
Yeah, we don't have to say the word.
No, we won't. And I literally looked at the principal and said, what classroom is that, sir? And he told me, and I said, I'd like to go to that classroom because I want to kill that kid. And I was halfway kidding. Really, if I saw the kid, I wouldn't have touched him, but we would have had words, But the principal did not find that funny. And while the other guy I was with was doing his teaching thing, the principal pulled me aside and was like, hey, man, this probably isn't for you if that made you that mad.
Was that day one?
That was literally my first day of student teaching. That's not an exaggeration.
And the kid was probably only like a year or two younger.
I don't know what grade. It was a high school, so I don't know what grade it was in, or what grade he was in. But I appreciate that principal telling me that, because I was like, man, you're probably right. And if I do this, I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble. So just to sum it up, I pretty much just partied a lot and fished and failed out of college. Came home with zero direction. Met up with Molly, who had a direction and was very, very motivated and doing very good in school. And I was like, man, her dad's a fireman. What's that all about? And it was pretty much just a downhill tumble from there. I fell my way into EMT school. I don't know how, but I passed EMT school the first time. And
I don't know how either.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know how I passed. I do know how, but I'm not going to say I know how.
I don't even know what that means.
I had a lot of help from the instructor. And got hired with not going to use my department's name. Hopefully we can cut that part out.
I don't know if I can or not. I'll try.
Got hired, and I have been absolutely in love with the job since, which is some of the reason why we're going to do this podcast as well, because the fire service has so many different walks of life and different people and different stories, and I think it's going to be really awesome to hear some of these people's stories and, how their upbringing and what they've done. So that's got a lot to do with it. But, yeah, I've been with my department for almost 10 years, and I love what I do. I'm a firm believer in if you love your job, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
So.
And for, everyone who's part of the fire department listening to this, they know it's a big family. John and I are very family-oriented with our, biological families, but we also are very close with our friends and consider them family as well. Pretty much anyone who's in our circle, we claim them as family. And the fire department and everyone involved in the fire department obviously, falls into that category as well. So a lot of this podcast is going to be based around the fire department, people we know. I want to get, some fire wives on here, some, everyone within the walk of life of the fire department. I think that's going to be like a main thing on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, I hope that we can get all different kinds of people. I know that through the Facebook videos we've done, that I know all of you love seeing, the people that have reached out about doing a podcast with us is crazy. I never would have thought that some of these people would want to do it, and a lot of these people I don't even know.
Your Facebook friends on these live videos?
Yeah.
These live videos, you guys, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, but they're so funny.
They're ridiculous. It's just John staring at himself in the phone, talking to people who virtually wave, and somehow he's taken that to convince me to do this.
Yeah.
He's a persuasive guy. I'm
good at what I do. No, but so we're gonna have some pretty cool people.
Yeah, I hope so.
And, you know, like I said, from all walks of life, from the fire service to big-time business people, a couple Navy SEALs that I know of want to be on this podcast.
We already have our episode 2 lined up. Can we, like, plug that now, or do we want to make sure?
Yeah. So I hope that a lot of you know, and I'm sure a lot of you do, but for those of you that don't.
Well, not everybody's in the fire service. So
right.
A lot of people
I'm getting there. A lot of you that don't know, Danny Dwyer. I have known Danny for a couple years, and recently he made big news. He had a grab from a fire, and, you know, Danny alone, before that, is a very, very interesting guy. To me, he is the kind of person that, like, when I think of a fireman, I think of Danny. I'm not saying that to build him up or anything, but Danny is just a larger-than-life kind of guy. He's, you know, he's never met a stranger. He just, you know, he's the kind of guy that people gravitate to. He's great to talk to. He's smart. He's just a good dude. A lot of experience in the fire service, a family man. So I think it's going to be really good to get him on here and have him as our first guest on the A Drink with Monty podcast. So we'll be recording that soon.
Yeah, hopefully real soon. And then we have like John was saying or alluding to, we have a lot of other, you know, interests in mind and people we want to talk to. So hopefully this will take off and it'll be fun. If anything, it'll be fun for me and John too.
You know, to be honest, I really don't care what y'all think. I'm going to have a really good time talking to these people.
Might as well put it on mic.
Yeah, seriously. So more about you and I, so the listeners and people that don't know us can get to know us.
Okay.
Tell us about you, Miss Montague.
About me?
Yeah, what do you do for fun? Tell us about your life, your day-to-day.
I work a lot.
Where you came from.
Where I came from?
Let's bring it all the way back, baby. Bring it back to day one up on that thing.
Gosh, I don't know. Talking about me isn't a thing I do often. I don't know. We talked about my work. I work a lot. Work is kind of my hobby. I love my company. I love what I do. I love the people within my company. I'm extremely passionate about it. They're all my best friends. I consider them my best friends.
Yeah, for sure. And I would second that.
Yeah.
You have probably some of the coolest people I've ever met in your company.
Amazing.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun hanging out with those guys and gals.
Yeah. I have an awesome job. And then John and I have 2 babies who aren't really babies anymore. That's kind of sad, huh?
No, they're not little babies. They're little shits.
That's true. We have little toddler babies. Our son is 3. He'll be 4 in July. Maddox. And our daughter just turned 2 in April. Quarantine birthday. Monroe. She's a little spitfire.
Mm-hmm.
She's my karma.
Bring it way back before that. Like where you were born, your upbringing, where you grew up, what you did, sports.
Okay, I was born and raised in Kennesaw. My dad was a Cobb County firefighter. Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh well, he's retired now. My mom was and is an RN, so she worked in the hospitals or doctor's offices. Now she works in IT. So I've been around a medical family a lot. I have a brother. He now lives in Alaska. He took off and got pretty far away from Kennesaw.
The craziness of the K-Town.
He's fun. He's married with a wife named Molly as well. She's Molly Rose. I'm Molly Ann. I've got step siblings. I went to Kennesaw Mountain High School, went to Kennesaw State University.
Represent 08, baby.
Met this guy right here in high school. We graduated together. We've been together for quite a long time. I finally convinced him to propose to me at some point. Took a long time.
And I ripped my pants doing it.
Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah, really, really awesome story.
So I had been having an allergic reaction to a cat we got. We didn't know it was an allergic.
We got? A cat we got?
I loved that cat.
Yeah.
Her name was Koozie. You remember her? She was funny.
Yeah, I remember the cat.
So I was having an allergic reaction. We didn't know it was because of the cat at the time.
She's downplaying it. A straight up, like, borderline
Hives
anaphylactic
everywhere.
reaction, like voice changing, lip swelling, hives.
It had been going on for a long time, and I guess it was denial. I just didn't want to admit it was the cat. But John chose that time to propose to me
I knew she'd look really good in pictures.
on our back porch. We didn't even take any pictures, I don't think. And
No, but we took a GoPro video.
we did take a GoPro video, and he got down on one knee, and his pants straight split.
Blowed out, boy.
Blew
I'm talking from
out.
crotch to the booty hole.
And he was like, got down on one knee and was like, I just ripped my pants. And I was like, go on.
Yeah, and where is this leading
Finish
to?
what you were saying, please.
Yes.
And then we went to a nice dinner, and he posted the picture of me and my ring on social media before I could call my parents. We were in the car on the way to the restaurant, and you posted it, and I got tagged. And I was like, John, I haven't even called my parents yet. And you were like, oh, my bad.
Well, Facebook's way more important than parents.
He had already asked both of my parents, so that was good.
Yeah, those are other good stories. But we'll save this for another time.
Should we?
Yeah.
I mean, we got time. Just talk about him.
Benny, Molly's dad was not very fond of me in high school, and I don't know why.
You were a punk in high school.
Benny is very prim and proper, and
He's my dad. I'm his baby girl kind of thing.
yeah, I know. So, I mean, that's really it. I just, that, like, asking Molly's dad to marry me was probably
You asked my dad to marry you?
asking Molly's. Yeah, you're right. I did say that. My bad. No, I didn't ask Molly's dad to marry me. I asked Molly's dad for permission to marry his daughter.
There you go.
Yeah, got it.
That took a second.
And he surprisingly started crying and said yes. And I was like taken back for a second because I thought for sure we were going to have this long, drawn-out conversation, and I just wasn't feeling that. Like, I already had my out. Like, if he wanted to have a conversation, I was going to be like, you know what? I changed my mind.
Stop it.
I was like, look, Benny, I ain't even trying to have this talk with you right now, old man. Get out of my face. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have said that because he would have shot me. But no, so that is the proposal. And now we have two of them children.
An even better story was telling my dad that I was pregnant.
Man, yeah. Talk about getting thrown under the bus on that one.
So we find out 2 weeks before the wedding
Yep.
that I'm pregnant
Yep.
with Maddox. And my family is extremely old school, like conservative. I was terrified to tell my dad.
Yeah, but we had like pumped each other up. Like we were like en route to your dad's house 5 minutes away, and you were like punching yourself in the chest because you were so like hyped.
I was ready. I was hyped. I was ready to go. And we get to my dad's house, and my little stepbrother Connor was there already. I don't know why he was there. Was he living there at the time?
Yeah.
He was just there. And my parents weren't there. So we came in, and we were just like chit-chatting it up with Connor. That's my little brother's name. And he was like, so what are you guys doing here? And we were like, nothing. We just, came to tell, Dad and Sonia about, Sonia's my stepmom, Dad and Sonia about, something. And he was like, oh, you've got to know Connor. He's so goofy. What are you, like, telling him you're pregnant or something? And my eyes got like giant. John's eyes got giant. And he was like, no way. And it was like a big thing. So then Dad and Sonia get home, and I was like ready to tell them. I was so ready. And in the middle of everything, I looked right at John, and I was like, you got to say it. I can't say it.
Yeah, literally. I was just staring at them like the biggest idiot. Just staring at them, looking like, all right, guys, she's going to tell you this. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. And Molly starts crying, and picture like, I don't even know, like just a deer in headlights. Like I was looking at Benny, her dad, waiting for her to tell him, and she starts crying. I didn't break eye contact with Benny, and she says, John, you have to tell him. in those like 5 seconds after she said that, I did like an immediate scan. Like, I was looking for a few things. I was looking for an exit, and I was looking for weapons. And right next to Benny's hand, we were standing at their kitchen island, and right next to Benny's hand was a massive steak knife. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm not a dad yet, but I can only imagine the thoughts that are going through his head right now. And I, too, would also grab the steak knife and just be prepared for the news that was about to be dropped on me. But he didn't. He kept it together. So I looked at Benny and I said, well, this isn't awkward, but do you remember when I told you that I'm going to do the hardest thing ever and tell you that I want to marry your daughter? Well, I'm now going to do the second hardest thing ever and tell you that your daughter's pregnant. And gave him just the biggest, stupidest smile. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, where is this knife going to go? And he just stares at me, and I stared at him.
And then Connor chimes in, and he's like, they're not kidding.
And Benny said, I effing know, Connor. And Sonia
was like,
this is good. This is a good thing. And I am still like, man, can I get to the door before he grabs the steak knife? Or are we just going to have to throw down right here? And then I'm like, man, what's it going to feel like to get stabbed? And then I'm thinking like, dude, people get stabbed all the time and they live.
You're going in on this steak knife. Like,
well, Molly, your life wasn't in danger. Mine was. And
this is all made up in John's head.
No, it's no. Okay, you can say what you want, but you weren't there.
Well, I mean, the steak knife may have been there.
Exactly. You were out. You were checked out.
I was checked out. I was gone.
You were busy feeling sorry for yourself for being pregnant. I'm totally kidding. And no, but for real, it worked out really good. I think Benny just needed to process it. And
he was not expecting it.
Not at all.
He doesn't like to be blindsided.
Well, he was.
He totally was.
Yeah. But no, it turned out really well. And
you were blindsided too when I told you.
Yeah, I was. I was for sure. But, I mean, it worked out good. You know, why not? We lived together for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Y'all.
You know.
John and I were together for like a decade before he proposed to me.
What's up? Getting all my money's worth.
What does that mean?
It means that I needed to wait until I was sure you were the one.
You weren't sure, like, year...
No.
I don't pick any of them.
Nope, Molly. I'm not one to jump into things, so.
How does that, like, how do you know, for like, after that long, you knew we were going to get married.
Yeah.
What was the point in waiting?
Well, because I was young, and, like, the whole saying of, you're never going to be ready. You know what I mean? Like, and that's true, you're not. You're like, people are always like, man, I got to wait for this to buy a house, or I got to wait for this to have a kid or to get married. It's like, man, if like tangible things are holding you up, you're just wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
right. If
you feel it, you're always going to have an excuse. And I think I was kind of like, man, I'm literally just making a ton of excuses why I shouldn't do this. And I also got a bunch of money from something, and I was like, man, what a better time to buy a ring.
What'd you get a bunch of money for?
I can't remember, but I had like, I remember I either sold something or did a big job, and I had a bunch of cash. So that's probably why.
Was the ring holding you back?
Yeah, and she was trying to play the whole, oh, I just want a pearl ring. And really in my head, I'm like, girl, you didn't want a dang pearl ring.
I really did want a pearl ring.
No, you just wanted a ring.
No, well, I didn't even want I didn't care about the ring. I just wanted you to commit to me.
Me buying you a house wasn't a commitment enough?
You didn't buy me a house. You bought a house.
That you picked out?
I did pick it out.
Yeah. Anyways, it's been a roller coaster to say the very least. God knows we have absolutely had our ups and downs, which I think would be cool to talk about at some point, maybe a little bit tonight, maybe on another podcast. But I think that for as somewhat young as we are, I think we have really been through it together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's going to be more to come, but, you know, we've had our fair share of marriage counseling and breakups and nights on the couch. And, I think that would be cool to talk about because, with social media, it's always what you see at, everybody always portrays they're living this perfect life. And you see that enough and you think that what you have is less or not right. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like not ideal.
Yeah, because, all you see is, like, nobody posts the horrible times. Like, no one takes a selfie. It's like, guys laying on the couch by myself, really pissed my wife. No one posts selfies of that.
Yeah.
They only post selfies of, like, we're frolicking through the meadows together. I'm so in love, And there are times that I straight hate my wife.
You hate me?
I mean, in, like, a delicate way. Like, I still love you.
Hate's a strong word. That's
okay,
not delicate.
You're right. Maybe not hate, but there are times that I just want to, like, not be around you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's likewise. I'm sure it's mutual.
Yeah.
And I think that would be cool one to talk about,
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. Expectation of, what you expect of your significant other, that's hard. And just relationships in general, like John and I, like he said, like we've been to counselors and we did premarital counseling. We've done marriage counseling. And, we're not afraid to talk about it. We're not ashamed of it.
It was the best thing we ever did.
I agree. And honestly, I'm proud of us for, like we weren't going through any like crazy hard time, but we saw it trending that way. And we were like, nah, we're just going to.
It got pretty bad. Like I would say when the last time it got pretty bad.
Yeah. After my last pregnancy.
Yeah. But it got really bad. But when we went to counseling and our counselor was freaking phenomenal, we literally sat there and just broke it down. And we were both like, God, like.
The counselor literally said like, okay, so she was like, do you disagree about raising your kids? Do you disagree about finances? Do you disagree about family? And we were just like, no. And she was like, okay, so like, why are you guys here? And we were like, because it's not as good as it was. And she was like, that's good. That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And like she kind of like put it into perspective for us, and we weren't at rock bottom.
No, not even close.
But we saw it trending down, so we were like, let's get this fixed now.
Yeah.
And I think that was smart of us, and I'm proud of us for doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of people I shouldn't say a lot of people, but I feel like it's more common for people just to throw in the towel,
Well, not only that, but people are afraid to do counseling. And then you get stuck in your own like cloud.
Yeah.
And you don't get that perspective. Yeah. Like, I mean, gosh, most of the stuff that helped me the most through that was just her putting our situation into perspective for me.
For sure. And she did.
Yeah.
Literally, she was like, exactly what I said. She asked us those questions and was like, okay, I want you guys to come here, and I think it would be great maintenance, but you guys don't need to be here, and
she wasn't like pushing us away. She was just saying like, this is just going to be like, like maintenance.
Yeah.
Not like, we really didn't have to change anything crazy. We just had to flip our perspective and the way we think and the way
we got into a dark spot, like mutually in our relationship. And even before that, we walked to our counselor and we had a conversation.
It was like a mile down the road, so we just walked there.
We had a conversation before at this table, and we were both like, do you want to get divorced? Do you want to get divorced? And we were both like, no. But I think we had both not said it, but let those thoughts creep in. And once it's like saying, once that's in your head, it's so hard to not see that. Once that is totally taken off the table, and once that is just not even an option, to me, it makes such a huge difference. And we both come from divorced families, and I think I have a harder time with that than Molly does. But for me, anyways, that was like, once that was off the table, it made a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we would have one bad day, and we're like, oh my God, are we going to get divorced?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's just a crappy day. Go away so I don't have to look at you right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
that got heavy.
Yeah, it did. But it's cool. That's good because
We're real, y'all. Like, I mean, we're not afraid to say what we've been through, and we say what's on our mind, and we don't sugarcoat things. And that's just, if we, keep doing this and y'all continue to listen, that's how we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's us.
Yeah.
So what about you, John? Tell us about you, where you came from. What makes you...
I came from the ghetto.
You
No, I came from
Marietta.
I came from the mean streets of Tampa, Florida.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was born in Tampa, Florida, and moved here when I was like 3 or 4. My parents split up, and my mom remarried, and we moved to Marietta. Grew up playing hockey and lacrosse, and played those sports through elementary, middle, and high school. And somebody thought I was pretty good at lacrosse, so I went to college.
You thought you were very good at lacrosse.
Well, I mean, I was. So, no, but went to college, and you guys heard that story and how that ended up. Came back with absolutely zero direction and had no claim to fame, no nothing. And pretty much just started over, and I'm here now. Molly was one of the only true girlfriends I ever had. That's true.
Yeah.
And so I always kept her at arm's length, and I was out doing my thing, I would break up with her.
Oh, my God.
Go hit the town a little bit, you know what I mean? Get cray-cray. And then when I was done with that, I just pull her back in.
Oh, that's awful, John.
Am I wrong?
I mean, you're saying it horribly.
Okay. Notice how she didn't say I was wrong. Anyways, no. And like I said, got on the fire department, and then I'm here now. And very, very involved in the fire department and my department. And I'm very fortunate to have a partner who is very involved with me and supports me 110%. She supports me in the sense that she can tell me that I'm being an idiot or doing something stupid. And she can also be like, yeah, dude, you're doing freaking awesome, and you need to keep doing what you're doing. So I've lucked out big time. I've way more than I deserve. And I'm not just saying that because Molly's right in front of me, but, really I outkicked my coverage big time, and I have a lot more than I deserve. That is for sure.
As far as a wife, or just...
I mean, just everything. Like, growing up, I was just going to go to school to be an electrician and go to tech school, which there's nothing wrong with. But, never thought that I would end up at a university with a scholarship. Never thought that I would be, a fireman and a paramedic. Have an awesome house, own cars and campers and 2 beautiful kids. And it just was never on my radar, it was on my radar, but I was always kind of that thing where it's like, I'm just going to freaking...
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worked out in my favor for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Life is good for us right now.
Very good.
Very good. And, we're in the middle of this quarantine right now, and John and I were talking about how, blessed we are. And we know a lot of people out there are suffering, and this is going to be very hard for a very long time for a lot of people. And I feel that for people. And we just lucked out. We're both very busy right now, and a lot of people aren't, and a lot of people don't really know how they're going to make ends meet, and, just hang in there, folks.
Yes. Easier said than done for some.
I know. That's
so
a heavy topic. It's a lot to talk about. The coronavirus and this epidemic, it's like...
Pandemic.
What's the difference?
I think one is, worldwide.
Pandemic is
is worldwide.
Epidemic is like local or something.
I don't want to say local, but
pandemic's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is insane. The fact that the whole world is shutting down is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So a little bit about us as a couple. We have our 2 babes. We talked about them. We have a camper.
I can look at my phone if I want to. People are texting me.
I'm like having to shoo his phone out of his hand. Does anybody else experience that?
When you're as popular and as in demand as I am,
oh my God,
you had to get an Apple Watch 5 so I could keep up with the messages. I sound really good on this mic. On this, what is this?
I don't know.
SM7B.
It's a sure.
Yeah. So we have our kids and we have our life. And honestly, another big thing that motivated or pointed me in the direction of wanting to do this was the 575 Fools.
Oh, God. We haven't even touched on the 575 Fools.
I know.
Tell us about them fools.
So the 575 Fools is a not-for-profit officially now. Basically, we had some pretty tough times in our department. One of our guys lost his son, and the brotherhood is obviously really, strong in the fire service. But what I saw during that horrible time is the reason why I joined the fire service. It was unbelievable, and the true meaning of family and brotherhood and sisterhood and just, that kind of stuff, man, it really jumped out at me. And I didn't know Logan as well as some, but something about the situation, it really hit me. And we could do another podcast on that.
I'd love to. Honestly, that was kind of a pivotal moment for John. He saw what was happening in the fire service and everyone coming together for this one family, and we were both really moved by the camaraderie of it all. In a time where I feel, and John had said that before, like he felt like, we watch these videos of like the FDNY and stuff, and they're so old school, and like there's still so much, and I'm not saying there's not brotherhood and sisterhood right now, or there wasn't at the time, but it was just changing. It was all changing. It was becoming a lot more corporate. It wasn't just like boots to the ground, everybody's in it together kind of thing. And then when all of this was happening with Logan and everyone came together, and I know like John was extremely touched by the whole thing, and he knew that he wanted to continue it, I guess.
Yeah,
is
no
the
doubt.
best way to.
And I had seen other Fools chapters on social media and didn't know anything anything about it. Just saw a bunch of go-getters and freaking knuckle draggers out there getting after it. And we were camping. We were on a camping trip. And I sent an email to the International, and honestly, it was just a downhill slide from there, and we actually, man, it took us probably 3 months to get the official blessing of being an official chapter of the Fools. In between that, we had to, me and Molly talked a lot about it, and, we had to build a board, and that was the easy part. I knew
you couldn't have picked better guys.
For sure.
And you have so many like great people at your fingertips that it was just easy for you to get a group of guys together, and everyone felt so motivated.
I don't even like saying motivated, because that's like, it's almost temporary. That's just their lifestyle. That is what they like strive
Passionate.
for. Yeah. And we'll get each of them on here and talk to them, but
for sure.
It just kind of blossomed, and every meeting I say it, but this is the God's honest truth. Literally, since we got the official word that we are a chapter, we have been flying by the seat of our pants, and it has, like, everything has just worked out.
Yeah.
I mean, multiple occasions, we've all just been sitting around being like, man, we are, like, something has got to happen. Like, this is too good to be true. You know what I mean? And, but so we are the 575 Fools, and we picked that because we are off of the Interstate 575, and
well, the chapter is in North Georgia.
Yeah,
chapter
yeah.
575 is the interstate that runs through North Georgia.
yeah, and
From like north of Atlanta, like Kennesaw area, Marietta area to Blue Ridge. I
Mhm.
don't know, where's it in?
I mean, it turns into 515 in Blue Ridge, but
Yeah, so it ends in Blue Ridge. That's 575 all the way up through North Georgia.
and to say that it's turned into something that I never expected is an understatement. We
Cheers to the fools.
Yeah, it has opened so many doors, and we have all met so many cool people, and most importantly, we can give back, and we can display the true meaning of the fire service. And not that you can at work or when you're on the job or whatever, but you know, with us, it's just nothing but fellowship and brotherhood and giving back and just
Community and being there for each other. The wives have all gotten involved. We all get our kids involved. Not only the wives, I say the wives, I mean spouses in general and families. We've got moms and sisters, and everyone comes to the meetings, and it truly is a fellowship, brotherhood, sisterhood. I love all the female power in it all, like, you know, supporting the guys, but also building our own camaraderie, and it's really awesome what the Fools has like allowed all of us to do.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think that the Fools is going to have a big impact on this podcast, and we toyed with it being a Fools podcast, but we talked, Molly and I,
And there might be.
Yeah, no,
later.
It will first. Yeah, there
That's
might
just
be.
not what this one is.
No, we want this. We don't want to be pigeonholed. You know, I don't want to, as much as I would love to, I don't always want to talk fire service. You know, if I want to have a huge business executive that, you know, we know, I don't want to feel like I can't because it's not talking about the fire service. So, but was a big motivating factor for us was the Fools, and now I'm sitting here with you at our kitchen table with a lot of really cool equipment doing a podcast.
Yeah. So that's it, guys.
Yeah, that's the intro. A lot longer than I thought it was going to be.
Well, both of us can talk.
Facts. So back to the next podcast, we will have Danny Dwyer. He is a captain for a large metropolitan department, and we're going to talk about him, you know, his life, his upbringing.
He wanted to talk a lot about
Decision making on the fly.
Yeah, decision making and things he's you know, grown to have an expertise on. So he does a lot of teaching and a lot of conferences and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be educational for those of you in the fire service, and for those of you who aren't. He's just got an awesome story. He's a great guy.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. We look forward to this. We're super pumped. If you guys have any ideas or know of anybody that you think would be cool to have on this, let us know.
Feedback is welcome.
Absolutely. And
appreciated.
Much love to everybody. Thank y'all. And we hope that you guys go to our YouTube channel, because we have one of those now.
We will when we post this.
Well, we have a YouTube channel, but we don't have any content on it until this goes on it.
Right.
What's the YouTube channel called?
I think A Drink with Monty.
Okay.
See how I did that?
All right. Well, it's been real, everybody. We look forward to getting some feedback. Take care.
Love you guys. Bye.